Well, I once again find myself doing a little bit of vamping. We are going to have a very important guest with us today, a gentleman who served on the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office staff as a police officer, or a sheriff's deputy, I guess would be the proper term. The gentleman is John Mark Dougan, and I have been in communication with him. Oh, wait a minute. But isn't that now? I think we might have had a time zone error. Okay, he's texting me. He's saying he'll be ready at 10 p.m. in Moscow, which I think might be, sadly for me, 1 hour from now. Oh boy, that's a major screw up by me, if that's the case. Ooh, yes. Yeah, right, my bad. Five minutes, no problem. Okay, so sorry, John, that's my bad. Let me get everyone up to speed while John gets to where he needs to be. I am so sorry, John. I'm so sorry, everyone. John is an American citizen who was working in the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and what he encountered there was such blatant, rampant corruption and criminality that he started a whistleblower website called PBSO Talk, the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office Talk. And basically what it was is it allowed whistleblowers within the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office to have an anonymous mechanism of reporting corruption, officer misconduct, police brutality, whatever it might be. And it was set up in such a way that even John didn't know who it was that was contacting him. And so this was a precursor to WikiLeaks, of course, and this made the other members of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office very unhappy with John, to say the least. You can see right here on Google Maps that Palm Beach looks like a really lovely area, nice part of town. John has stated in previous interviews that the initial punitive steps that were taken against him and other officers that proved to be problematic in the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office was to relocate them to sort of more dangerous neighborhoods with higher crime levels. And in this part of the country, those areas were populated mostly by minorities, and the officers regularly engaged in brutal beatings. Police brutality was rampant. John did several screen captures of Facebook posts that these officers would make, saying things like, "This person fell down the stairs." And it's really hard, I think, for honest people to imagine such open and brazen brutality as that. But it was a big problem, and it's important to me here at Crowdsource the Truth that we have people like John on the program so that they can share their experience. Whistleblowers are so important, and honest police officers are so important, particularly when we see situations like the one we've seen in Las Vegas. Obviously, John doesn't have any experience with the Las Vegas Metro PD, but we've been seeing some stunning stories coming out of Las Vegas since October 1st. Just yesterday, Laura Loomer had a story, an exclusive here on Dangerous.com. Laura has been poring over the recently released police documents, and what she found in there was that Stephen Paddock's bank account had been seized for terror financing. And the police knew this. They knew this the whole time, that they were telling everyone that he was a lone gunman with no motive. So this is really shocking. We've seen in Ramsey Dennison's film crazy impropriety in the Las Vegas Metro PD. Of course, the shooting at Parkland School. We've heard that the Broward County officers stood down rather than enter the building to rescue children. They did nothing. So there seem to be quite a few problems with law enforcement around the country, and we're really looking forward to hearing from John, and I apologize to him for screwing up the scheduling. I had some things happening here that caused me to delay it an hour, and I'm not sure how I messed that up, but I really do apologize, John. There was a bit of a test done by a local CBS affiliate in South Florida, and what they did was they went around to various police precincts there in southern Florida, and they went in with a hidden camera and they spoke to various officers about how they might be able to go about getting complaint forms to file complaints for officer misconduct or whatever it might be, and the results were pretty stunning. You can see this on YouTube, over 2 million views for a video titled "Proof Police Departments Are Corrupt." That may be an overstatement. They're not universally corrupt, of course, but in this case we saw officers denying individuals the police reports, and in fact even locking up the guy making the request in some cases.
First, and then I gotta hear what's going on. You gotta tell me what the complaint is.
Do you have a complaint form that I can like fill out or something like that?
Might not be a legitimate complaint.
Who decides that?
I'm trying to help you.
Like if there's a form, why can't I just take it and leave, right?
No, you don't leave with forms. You tell me what happened, and then I help you from there. Do you have an idea on you?
Why?
You know what? You need to leave. Okay? You're refusing to tell me what you want to do. Okay? You're refusing to tell me who's involved, where it happened, what transpired.
This video is pretty shocking in my estimation. This is, again, hidden camera footage. This is not the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, but various police precincts around South Florida. Something like 35 out of 38 refused to give this individual a form that he could take home and fill out anonymously. All of them wanted to, or 35 out of 38, wanted to record his name, wanted his driver's license, and intimidated him substantially to dissuade him from filing a police report. People may recall the first time I went to the Las Vegas Metro PD station where Laura Loomer and I met for the first time. The officers there were similarly intimidating. In this clip, the officer actually follows the guy out to the parking lot and continues to threaten and intimidate him. This poor guy who was working for CBS actually got arrested. He was beaten by a police officer in one of these scenarios. He had to go to the hospital. We see the officer touching his gun and things like that. So I think that police officers need to be very aware that not every person is a criminal, and serve and protect is the prime directive of police officers, at least here in New York City. So intimidating, threatening, and not providing complaint forms is certainly not what they are supposed to do. So John is among the honest members of law enforcement, or I should say he was. He's no longer employed with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. John, when he began to blow the whistle and he created this website, he actually came under so much harassment and was so threatened that he had to leave the country. His story goes that he had met a woman on the internet, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. We've seen some YouTubers who think it might be better to copulate with your sister-in-law than to go on the internet to meet someone, but we won't go into those details. John met a woman on the internet and then took a vacation to go and visit her in Russia. And as he describes it, he was very taken with Russia. He enjoyed the country, he enjoyed the people. more volume people want. Okay, we can do that. So John went to Russia. Okay, sorry guys, I wasn't looking at the comments there. And while he was in Russia, they attempted to frame him as being involved in some sort of Russian organized crime ring, saying that he was a hacker. We almost sort of start to see the seeds of this Russia hacked nonsense being sown there. And yeah. And they basically turned his house upside down. They hacked his computers. They were able to follow him through his cell phone, literally link GPS data to photographs that he was taking. And even without posting them on social media, they knew where he was. And he is ready to join us now. Let me bring on John Mark Dougan. We've got him dialing in right now. And John, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good. Can you see me?
I can see you very well, and I really do apologize, John. This is totally my fault that I screwed up the time there.
No, it's easy to screw up the time.
I've been telling everyone about your story, which is really shocking. You were a law enforcement officer with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. You saw rampant brutality and police misconduct, and you began to blow the whistle, creating PBSOtalk.com. Give us a brief summary in your own words of what began to happen after you did that.
Well, I started PBSOtalk.com because there wasn't a safe place for officers to expose like bad guys. I expose some bad guys as top. When I say bad guys, I'm talking about cops being bad guys. What happened is they retaliated against me. So I decided to start a forum where they were absolutely safe and they didn't have to worry about retaliation because there was absolutely no way for them to be tracked. But what happened is the sheriff's office, as soon as they started the site, they started investigating me. Now, they never said what for, and the investigation lasted 8 long years until I finally had to come to Russia.
And of course, that was a crazy story as well. The traveling to Russia involved getting a boat and going to Cuba and then going from Cuba. Can you talk to us a little bit about how did you get from Cuba to other places did you use your U.S. passport?
No, that was my first plan, was to take the boat from Cuba, from the Keys to Cuba. But I caught the FBI watching me. They had a surveillance team watching me at the marina. So I abandoned that plan, and I went back. I went to my mom's house, and I took a wig out of her drawer.
Wow.
And I went to the mall, and I changed my clothing, and I threw on the wig and a pair of blue sunglasses. And I snuck out of a different exit of the mall into a car that had been left for me.
Wow.
And then I drove north, and I had to sneak into Canada because I was on the TSA's no-fly list.
Wow. And you had committed no crimes, correct?
That's correct.
So let me slow you down a second. So how was the FBI surveilling you? It was through your social media and your cell phone?
No. So they raided my home. I think it was March 14th, I think it was, 2016. They took everything out of my home. And, I had about 45 FBI agents combing through it.
Didn't they give you some reason why they were there? They just showed up at your house and started busting the place up?
Yeah, well, they accused me of hacking.
On what basis?
Um, that's a good question. Um, a few weeks before, I had posted a list. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you very well.
Okay. Yeah. A few weeks before, I had posted a list of 14,000 confidential people in the state of Florida.
Ah, right.
And but the thing was, the list was actually public records. I wrote a program to extrapolate that list.
Right. What year
So,
was that you posted that, John?
that was 2016.
So if I go on to the Wayback Machine, obviously PBSO Talk is no longer available, but if I go to the 2016 archive, can I see that list still, or has that been scrubbed?
Well, actually, if you go to wiki.pbsotalk.ru, the list is still there.
Am I going to get beat up by the FBI for showing it on this broadcast, do you think?
It's public record.
Okay.
They're all derived from public records.
I like it that you didn't say yes or no, but there we go. So people can explore wiki.pbsotalk.ru, and so this is an archive that you've created of the Whistleblower website, of course. And so it's a harrowing tale how you literally had to escape from the United States. We're talking to more and more individuals like yourself who've really done nothing wrong and have yet become sort of expatriates. You're living in voluntary exile. You're in Moscow, Russia right now.
That's correct.
Looks like a nice day there.
Yeah, well, it's 9 o'clock at night, actually, so, but
Still
the
bright out.
sun's still shining a little bit.
Yeah. And are you in a safe place? Are you trying to hide the cell phone or something?
Oh, no. I'm actually about to walk into Hooters.
You go for the wings, of course.
Absolutely.
So you're having
Look
a
at that.
good time there living in Russia.
It is a blast. I came my first time in 2012, and I had such a good time that I came back like 4 or 5 more times. Really, it's really awesome here.
I'm glad to hear that. But of course, this was substantially disruptive to your life. Your family, I presume, is still in Florida. Your whole livelihood, you just left with nothing.
Yeah, I had to leave. I had to leave my 2 children behind. My 2 kids, Kelton, he was 6 when I left, and Aurelia was 8 when I left.
Oh my God! When's the last time you saw them?
When I left.
They can't come see you in Russia?
Well, yeah, but I'm starting my life over, so
Right,
I haven't had the money to get them here.
I understand. John, is there a way that people can support you or your work? Is there a website people can go to and decide for themselves if they'd like to do that?
I never even thought about it. So I set up pbsotalk.org.
Right.
And I actually have a thing on there where, my book, I'm getting ready to publish a book. They can buy an advance copy if they want, I guess.
At pbsotalk.org, bringing that up
Yeah.
right now. And so also we should tell people that you've got a fairly robust IT background. You make your own websites, and this was totally anonymous. You didn't even know the names of the people that were submitting things to this. This existed prior to WikiLeaks, correct?
Yes, yep. I started this in 2009 or 2010.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you're real early to the encrypted, secure, sort of anonymous whistleblower stuff. People can go to pbsotalk.org and buy Bad Wolf mugs and some of the gear that you've got here. So if they want to support John, they can do that. So basically, you've had to leave. What kind of work are you comfortable with sharing with us? What kind of work you're doing there in Moscow?
Yeah, so I was walking home one night, and I was totally broke here. Like, I couldn't even afford to take a bus. So I was thinking, and I came up with an idea to build computer tables. And they're really cool. If you go to badvolf.com, badvolf.com, you can see what they look like. They're
Have you
So,
got the
I
screen
have-
share there? Can you see the stuff I'm bringing up?
yeah, it's actually really cool.
Great. So you're obviously a very industrious guy. No shortage of work ethic, creativity, know-how. These look like really high-end computer desks, excellent furniture there.
Yeah, so the desks actually have the computers built in.
Wow, I see that.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
So
yeah.
you could have a really beefy computer inside the desk and you've got kind of a clean look.
Yeah. If you go to YouTube and you Google declassified systems 38,
Mm-hmm.
You'll see what they did with one of my tables. I mean, the guy's absolutely an artist. So
We'll bring that up. So back to your story. You had this really, you must have feared for your life, this feeling that everyone's trying to get you and the FBI is investigating you for 8 years. That has to take a toll on you mentally, I would think, right?
well, I was, it really got to be some. In 2015, I became a witness against a police officer in a murder trial.
Wow.
And the guy was actually a friend of mine, but I had personal knowledge. The second one there. Yeah.
Bring that up for everybody to check out.
Yeah.
So you had personal knowledge that this officer, even though he was your friend, he had committed murder as a police officer.
Well, I had knowledge that what he had told investigators was a lie.
I see.
I mean, this family deserves some answers because the circumstances were incredibly bad, very suspect.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, the guy, so I came forward and I said, well, I had a conversation with this deputy and, that's not what he said.
Right.
So they put me as a witness, and then the sheriff's office, they hired individual people, not deputies, but like private investigators to follow me and my family around.
Wow.
And they chased my my ex-wife and kids. They chased them through their neighborhood on Easter Day of 2015.
That's crazy.
And and my Kelly, she got to my dad's house on Easter Day, shaking and crying, and it was unbelievable.
It is.
So, yeah.
But to be clear, John, you have not been charged with any crime anywhere in the United States or in the state of Florida, have you?
Well, I have now, yeah.
What's the crime now?
I don't know. So the state of Florida charged me with the crime in 2017, in March of 2017.
When you weren't even there.
I think it was just something so they could stick into the Interpol database to have me extradited.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you weren't even there in 2017.
No.
And this
I
is
hadn't
all
been there for
strictly
over a year.
retaliation because you were
Absolutely.
a whistleblower. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Were there any other
Well,
officers in the sheriff's office who you felt shared your feelings?
A lot of them. But the problem is nobody can do anything about it.
Because they're afraid they'll end up like you.
Absolutely.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got PBSO talk, and people are sending you information. You're finding out tons of details about criminal activity being done by police officers. And then at a certain point, you met Seth Rich, correct?
Well, Okay, so I don't ever claim that I met Seth Rich. I met who I am 99.9% sure is Seth Rich, but what I tell everybody is I don't ask for names when I speak to sources. Yeah, that's the guy. I don't ask for names. So what happened is in February 2016, and you'll see that you'll see by doing some research on me that I've had a lot of people contact me from all over the country, and they've asked me to set up these anonymous sites for them. So I was contacted by a guy in 2016 who said that he wanted a site so he could start leaking emails. And, I kind of blew him off for a little bit because, I get a lot of these types of requests. And when I get the requests, a lot of times people are a little kooky, or you'll have, I don't want to diminish anybody's mission, but sometimes their mission is like so important to them that they're not objective and they don't realize that it's not really it's not really worth going, doing a full out anonymous website for.
Yeah. No, I get it. When you're in communication with large numbers of people, you deal with all kinds of personalities, and everyone's emergency is a huge emergency to them. But when you have
Absolutely.
50 emergencies, how do you organize that?
Right. Yeah. So a lot of times I just kind of I pick and choose, and some people if they sound a little kooky, I just I blow it off. And this guy wrote me, and I could tell he was passionate about what he had. And honestly, I didn't really I didn't really believe who this person claimed he was. He claimed that he worked for the DNC, and that he had emails that he wanted to leak.
How was he contacting you? By email or phone or Discord?
No, I was at that point I was using an application called Wicker, WICKR.
Yeah, an encrypted texting application like the ones that Mueller wants people who are witnesses to turn over so they can decrypt.
Yeah, exactly. And so he had contacted me via Wicker, and he sent me one of the documents via Wicker. And I looked at it. I was like, okay, well, this looks like a really official email, and it was very interesting. And then he caught my attention, and I said, okay, well, it's like, well, do you have more of these? Because one email is easy to fake, but if you have 100 emails, it's a lot harder to fake.
Right. And obviously, your IT expertise allows you to somehow determine that the email is authentic, right? I presume.
Well, no, because
you just look at it.
It was sent to me in an EML file, and it's a little bit harder to. I don't remember if I looked at any header data at the time or what, but.
The content of it, the layout of it was sufficiently convincing that you knew this guy had something.
I suspected he did, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So,
okay.
So then I said, well, do you have more? And he said, yeah. And he sent me an entire dump of 700 and, I think it was like 750 or somewhere in that area.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, holy crap. So the next day is when the FBI raided my house.
Really?
Now, yeah, and I've always kind of wondered if they raided my house because of the names that I published, or if they raided it because of those emails that I got and somehow they knew. I don't know. It was very strange to me.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so they've basically, in this Gawker article, is this you they're talking about? Why a Russian hacker declared war on Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, I couldn't I couldn't say, well, yeah, it was me that published the name at the time, because frankly, even though they were public record, I figured they'd be a bunch of what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I can't think of a non-profane word, but I figured they'd, just to make a case out of it, they'd probably charge me with some kind of espionage or something.
Right.
You know?
And so that's when you created the Bad Wolf persona.
Well, actually, I created the Bad Wolf persona. I had catfished one of the detectives from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
Catfished him, like with a dating website, you mean?
Well, no, what I did is I set up a PBX server in a different country, and I routed the phone number through New York. And I called him. Now my voice was actively being changed into the voice of a woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, you're like James Bond.
Thanks. So he thought he was talking to a woman, and I got him to admit all sorts of crazy criminal activity. I even got him to buy $120,000 worth of a phony stock.
A phony stock, did you say?
Yeah, well, actually, it was a phony stock tip, and I did it because I wanted to prove that, I knew that when I started telling people that, yeah, look what they're admitting to doing, they were going to say, well, we knew it was this guy all along,
Right.
And now that he bought $120,000 into the stock that I told him to buy, and he sent me the receipt for it.
Wow.
Well, now what is he going to do, right? How is he going to say that, oh, we knew it was him?
Right.
So yeah, and they told me, he told me about hacking into my name was Jessica to him, and he was talking about me, John Mark Dougan.
Right.
And he was telling Jessica about how that they had been hacking into my social media accounts, my email accounts, and all this other stuff to try to find out who was posting on my websites, to try to get dirt on me to throw me in prison where they were going to have me killed or raped.
Jeez.
Yeah,
wow.
And it's all on audio. It was all recorded.
Do you have that posted online anywhere? Still?
Yeah. If you go to wiki.pbsotalk.ru,
wow.
It's all on there.
Amazing.
So, I mean, they're talking about beating blacks,
So real
really
psychotics are police officers in these precincts that you're blowing the whistle on. This is not minor stuff.
Say what?
This is not minor stuff. This is psychotic individuals.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. I mean, the sheriff of Palm Beach County has a whole investigative group only to investigate his political enemies.
Wow.
Yeah.
And has anything been done about this since you started blowing the whistle on it, other than trying to destroy your life?
Say what?
Has anything been done about this since you started blowing the whistle, other than trying to destroy your life?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Nobody gives a crap in law enforcement. I went to the FBI, and the FBI did absolutely nothing. And that's when I became Bad Wolf, and that's when I decided to publish those names, because if my privacy wasn't sacred to the FBI, then their privacy wasn't sacred to me.
But also, you were just publishing public records. You didn't do anything wrong.
No, that's true.
Okay, so back to Seth Rich. He's convinced you that he's got these emails. You're going to help him create an anonymous leaker site, and then what?
And then, so the FBI raided my house. They took my computers, and actually all of his documents were on one of my computers.
Really?
So yeah. So Now, the FBI, they took everything, but they didn't arrest me because they had no reason to arrest me.
Uh-huh.
And that's when I decided that I needed to get the hell out of town.
Right.
So the weekend came, I rented a car, I drove to Washington, D.C.
Why D.C.? To meet with Seth?
Yeah, to get the emails again, but on a USB drive.
Uh-huh.
So I drove straight to D.C., got the emails, drove straight back.
Where did you meet him?
Say what?
Where did you meet the person that you believe to be Seth Rich?
At some high school. God, I don't remember the name of the high school.
You sure it was a high school and not a college? He lived kind of near Howard University, I think.
I think it was a high school. It was well, I don't know. But there was a basketball court or a tennis court or something that I met him in front of. Is there a high school? Is there a high school near Howard University?
I'm looking right now as you talk. We'll try and figure that out. But please continue. You met him at the high school.
Yeah. And I mean, I was only there for a few minutes. I grabbed the drive and I drove straight back to Florida. I didn't eat. I didn't do anything. The only thing I did was stop for gas and to take pisses.
Wow.
Excuse my
So
language.
you must have been very nervous, I would think.
Oh, I was incredibly nervous.
What was his
before I got
demeanor
home,
like? What was Seth's
I
demeanor?
stopped and
Oh, sorry. You stopped and you did what?
and hid the USB drive.
Where'd you hide it?
I can't tell you that.
Prison style. Nice. So, what was Seth's demeanor like?
No, it wasn't prison style. I
God.
just.
Oh, you hid it somewhere outside of. It's hidden still.
No, I picked it back up before I left.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead
I
of
took
you.
it to Russia with me.
Took it to Russia with you. Wow. So you've got the files that Seth Rich sent to WikiLeaks, basically, and you're convinced Seth Rich was the guy who sent them.
So here's the thing. I have a portion of the files because more files were sent later. So basically, I was supposed to just set up a website, and I was in Moscow, and I was dead broke, so I didn't have a lot of time to deal with much. So I set up an anonymous website for them to start posting stuff, and they were just going to kind of do it themselves.
All right. And was Seth a sophisticated hacker, IT type guy like yourself?
No, he wasn't.
Not at all.
No.
Do you know what Panda is?
Panda?
Panda.
Panda?
Yeah, like the bear, the Chinese bears.
Yeah, what about it?
Well,
Are you talking about the, oh, go ahead.
I'm talking about in the context of hacking or IT type stuff, what Panda might be. Seth Rich is known to be a, quote, friend of Panda. Does this look like where you might have been?
Hold on.
So I put in Howard University Middle School. Does appear to be a middle school of mathematics and science at 405 Howard Place Northwest in Washington, D.C. Seth Rich,
I don't remember.
Lived in the
I have it written
neighborhood
down at home, though.
Bloomingdale neighborhood. So what if we put in Bloomingdale, Washington, D.C. and see where that takes us?
Yeah, do a regular Google Street View.
Okay.
So
That
so
looks
anyways,
pretty close to his
but there
neighborhood.
were a couple of guys. It wasn't just Seth Rich. He was dealing with a couple of people. Yeah, do a street view, like no satellite. Do a street view and then north up.
North up. Okay. So,
Yeah, I think it was near a lake. I think probably near that lake.
Interesting.
No. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
Not. I don't actually mean the street view. I mean, like, I just want to
Right.
see the roads
Got
like
it.
a regular map.
Copy that. Coming right up. So he was with a few guys.
Well, no, I mean, he wasn't with them physically when I went.
Ah, he was dealing with multiple people.
Yeah, and actually one of the guys worked for the U.S. Cyber Command.
Really?
Yeah, out of Maryland.
Do you know what his name was?
No, I don't ask names, remember?
Right. Did you ever speak to him or see him?
No, but I had, hold on, is that north up?
North of what?
Is that north? Hold on. Okay, so you have what, west up?
North up, yes, I think. What shows me that?
I don't know.
Let's see, Howard University. Perhaps what we'll start doing, John, is maybe a series of videos. Yeah, we have north up there.
Okay. I can't tell from where I am here.
Right, so let me zoom in on it. There is a lake right there, so this is near a lake. This is pretty near Seth Rich's neighborhood. Would you like me to enter Street View now so you can sort of look around?
No, because
We can do this later. We don't have to necessarily do this right now. But point is, you met him here. He physically handed you a thumb drive that you then
that's correct.
took with you to Russia ultimately. And
Yeah, and I made it to Russia, I think the April 7th is when I finally got there.
Interesting.
And on about a week and a half later, I set up a website for him to post. I did the first dump for him, and then they were going to start posting the rest of the records.
That was DC Leaks, right?
That was DC Leaks, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, so I have been very skeptical. You're familiar with the story of Seth Rich's murder, right? How did you come to realize that the person you met with was very probably Seth Rich?
No, I saw a picture.
Saw a picture. So this.
But
picture
that wasn't until almost 2017.
Right. Right.
So, because, I don't watch the news here.
Right.
The news, well, it's in Russian here, and I don't speak Russian, so.
Mm-hmm. And did you speak to Seth again after the drop?
I spoke to him a couple of times on Wicker. Yeah.
Okay.
They had uploaded some more files.
Mm-hmm.
So I've set up a couple of websites on Shinjaru, which is a web hosting company in Malaysia.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I had set his up with.
Uh-huh.
And the reason I choose them is because, cryptocurrency can actually be tracked. It's a wide scale that it can't be.
Right.
But, hold on one second.
Sure.
I'm able to set up hosting using Western Union with them.
Okay.
So you just write a fake name on your Western Union slip and just send them to Western Union.
Got it.
So that's what I've been. Hold on, you guys want to see this? Oh no.
What's the matter?
I was going to see if you wanted to see the Russian Hooters girls.
Let's not do that. Let's stay focused on Seth for right now.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. John, actually, could you go back out into the hallway? It's a little bit less noisy.
Yeah, sure.
I want to take you back to this panda thing. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but since Seth's alleged death, which I still question. Now, you, of course, were a police officer, so you can comment on this from your professional experience. There's been no police investigation of the murder. There's been no autopsy report, no death certificate, no ballistics report. And so we've had many people in law enforcement say that type of thing never happens. And there's all this strange stuff. There's all this strange stuff surrounding Seth's alleged death. Now, what we're looking at right here is a picture of a bicycle rack outside the DNC office complex. Have you ever seen this before?
No.
Okay. There's a sign right here that is a plaque. This bicycle rack is dedicated to Seth Rich in what almost seems like a bizarre, possibly mocking type of thing. It says this bike rack is dedicated to Seth Rich, son of Omaha, fierce fighter for voting rights, devoted Democrat, friend to all, including Panda. Now, what is Panda? Do you know what that is? Is it an artificial intelligence? Is it a PNA?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know.
What was he wearing when you met him? Did he have any panda-related clothing on, or did he?
No, God, it was early in the morning. I was really early in the morning. It was 4 maybe. But
4
I
a.m.
think he was wearing a pair of blue jeans and a t-shirt, as far as I can remember. Like a long sleeve t-shirt. Maybe it was a sweatshirt. Anyways, yeah, it was a long time ago. I don't really remember, but it wasn't anything that stuck out.
So he wasn't wearing his 4th of July, nothing like this.
No.
Okay. But here's more pictures of the guy. That's, you know, you've, I'm sure, seen him on the internet since then.
I've never seen this picture now.
Does this make you feel more like the person you saw was Seth Rich, or possibly it was someone else?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's pretty definite that you were meeting with Seth Rich. There's no doubt, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, that's just what I wanted to establish. So, what do you think is the next step? Can this information that you have be somehow used to learn more about how or why Seth may or may not have been killed? I mean, it is very strange what's going on with the investigation or lack thereof.
I don't know. You know, I'm so far away from everything now, and you know, I've read a couple of things now, and I've seen some very strange things happening with the DNC, like you know, the guy who would have been in a position to catch.
Say again, the guy who would have been what?
Yeah, the guy who would have been in a position to catch Seth Rich happened to be that Pakistani IT guy. And it's always been suspicious to me why.
Say again, because we're losing you a little bit where you are right here. You're saying the guy that would have been in the position to do what to Seth Rich would have been the Pakistani IT guy?
Yeah, there was an IT guy working for the DNC.
Imran Awan?
Yeah, and mysteriously, he was let transfer a whole bunch of cash overseas, and then he was like getting ready to to escape to Pakistan.
Is it this guy? Did you meet with him? How do you know this about this Pakistani IT guy?
How do I know what?
The stuff that you're telling me right now, you read on the internet, or you were told by Seth?
Yeah, no, I read that.
Got it.
Yeah, I read that, you know, that it was very strange that he was not fired.
Right.
And the question is why? You know, and I can only, you know, guess. I can only, you know, engage in some conjecture. But it seems to me that they wanted him to leave because he knew something.
They wanted Imran to leave the United States because he knew something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that makes sense to me. You know,
yes.
Like I said, he would have been in a position to figure out that who was taking documents or emails from the DNC service.
Of course. And so, do you still have these wicker messages from Seth Rich? Do you remember when the last time you heard from him was, or what the content of his message was?
I lost most of them when the FBI took my phone.
Really?
Yeah, and then when I got here, I went out with my friends and I got a little snockered.
Right.
And you know, drinking's kind of big here in Russia, and I had too much samagon, and I accidentally fell asleep in a bathtub with the phone on my stomach. So, yeah.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I don't have that anymore.
I understand. So, okay, we don't know what Panda is, but do you remember when the last time you heard from Seth was? He was murdered in July of 2016, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. It was June or it was late June or early July.
Wow. So you were in touch with him pretty much right up till July 10th, 2016 is the attributed date of death.
Yeah. Again, I don't I don't recall exactly when it was.
Okay.
My last contact with him. I didn't have a lot of contact with him though after that. And I had more contact with the guy who was helping him, who inadvertently I found out worked for the U.S. Cyber Command. And I say inadvertently because, so on the Shinjaro servers, sometimes I would check the SSH login logs.
Uh-huh.
And of course, when you log in under SSH, which is like getting into an administrator command prompt for Linux, when you log in, that stuff is logged. And I would check the logs just to see, who's tried logging in, who's, and this guy always used a like a Tor, a proxy to log in.
The Cyber Command guy.
But one day he didn't, and I figured maybe he was in a rush or he was being sloppy. And sometimes it happens. Oh, I forgot to connect to the proxy. Whoops.
It was like a VPN or something like that.
Exactly. And the IP address came back to the U.S. Cyber Command out of Maryland, Fort Meade.
Came out of Fort Meade. Did you ever hear this person's voice, or you just saw his logins and got text messages from him?
No, I never heard his voice. I say it to him. I guess that's kind of sexist to me. It could have been a her.
Mm-hmm.
I just assumed it was a guy.
I wonder if he was over 6 feet tall.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, just people in the audience will get it. It's fascinating.
Okay.
It's fascinating, John. The story is really, and I like it that we've got you sort of on the move through Moscow here. It really gives it a cloak and dagger kind of a feel. So,
well, if I would have known that, I would have done it from in front of the Kremlin.
Right. So people are saying that, yeah, it's been speculated that Seth Rich had some kind of direct link through Imran, but of course what you're telling us about that is just stuff that you've read from the internet, not your first-hand experience with him.
Well, no, I don't have any knowledge that he had any contact with them. What I'm saying is, I'm sorry, what's the guy's name? The Pakistani
Imran,
guy?
it's Imran. Awan.
Okay, Awan, right. So Awan would have had, he would have been in a position to find out who was taking these emails.
Right. Exactly.
And if he found out and somehow he was involved in his death or something, hey. Say hi. Hey, what's up?
Привет.
We're on a
Как дела?
TV, say something in Russian.
Hey, привет.
We're just doing a little live stream there. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
So he would have been in the position to know who had breached the system, downloaded these emails, etc., logs, etc.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I was reading about, how this guy, how he was suspected of taking all this money, stealing all this stuff, and that Wasserman Schultz lady was actively helping him try to get to Pakistan. And I was just scratching my head thinking, well, why in the hell would somebody do that? And then it dawned on me, well, this is the guy who could have been in a position to figure out who was taking the emails.
Right, right. And these emails obviously lead to information detailing excessive and possibly massive crimes. There's still ongoing concerns about Imran Awan. He hasn't been charged in the United States yet. There have been a number of hearings and things along those lines, but he and his defense attorneys are basically pretty nervous. I don't know if you've ever seen this video, but here's Imran walking away from a status hearing back in October, refusing to discuss what he might have had hidden in the shed at 4809 Sprayer Street. And of course, a member of his defense team there, Jesse Winograd, I think this guy's name is, Jesse Winograd.
Honestly, I don't know anything about the case.
Right.
Not a thing. So, I haven't been following it. I haven't been watching the news here, because I'm just too busy to be watching TV.
Sure.
Although I do try to catch episodes of Homeland and Billions. So.
John, what can you say about Guccifer 2.0? A lot of people, this whole Russia hacked story surrounds.
I'm fairly certain it was a collective of people. And the reason I say that is because, one of the things that I did on my site, I had five moderators on my website, and I made everybody use the same login. And I had a reason for that. What happens is, as an investigator, you start looking for patterns. And if you start seeing somebody posting at 2 in the morning, right, 3 in the morning, then okay, well, if this guy's a cop, if he has knowledge that you can kind of tell he's a cop and he's posting at 2 and 3 in the morning all the time, that he's probably working the night shift. And you can start using clues like that to narrow it down. But when you have a bunch of people, then you don't really have so many patterns because, everybody's pattern is different.
Right.
And they're all incorporating it in the same login. And I had told these guys, when I was setting up the site that, they should do something. They should share the same login for whatever they were doing. And, they had mentioned using a Guccifer name. And I don't have a solid knowledge that it was definitely them, but it seems like, because people have said, well, it seems to be different people posting as Guccifer.
Right.
And, and it seems like it would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, okay. I think there's a lot more to explore here. Do you still have those files? Will you be uploading them anywhere? I mean, where can we go with this, John? How can your information be used to possibly help learn more about who may have killed Seth Rich or what was contained? Do you think all of the files that he had have come out through WikiLeaks? Have you had any contact with WikiLeaks or Julian Assange?
Well, I'm friends with people that are friends with him. And that's, because like I said, I was having problems with the servers back in, right after I set them up. Mm-hmm. And probably in March, April, maybe May or maybe June, May or June is when I put them in contact together. Because if they weren't, if the servers at DC Leaks, if the Shinjara servers weren't going to be reliable for them, and if they kept crashing,
right,
then there was no sense to keep using it if they had a different outlet. So, and I didn't have a lot of time to be screwing around with it.
Right,
like I said, I was a team hero. I was poor. I'm still poor.
Right. Do you think that this bad Wolf persona was contributing to Cyber Command targeting you, or is this Gawker article maybe probably just trying to bolster this ridiculous Russia hacked shenanigans?
I don't know, but I played it up pretty good. I played it up pretty good, so, yeah.
209,000 people have read this article since 2016.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. And so back to WikiLeaks for a second. Did you ever communicate with Craig Murray? Do you know if he was Professor X? Do you know Craig Murray?
Where did you get the name Professor X from?
It's coming in the comments here. Someone wants to ask about Professor X.
Yeah, that's my, well, yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay, no problem. So you never spoke with Craig Murray. Okay. Well, boy, there's so many questions. I mean, I think we may be coming close to the time where you need to eat some wings, and perhaps we need to ruminate on some of the things you've shared with us and possibly come back. I'd love to invite you back, John. I really appreciate your candor and your willingness to speak with me. This is really amazing. You're probably the first person we've spoken to who has had firsthand contact with Seth Rich. I did get a chance to speak to Craig Murray in London, but he said he never met Seth Rich. Have you ever dealt with Seth's brother, Aaron Rich?
No, I have not.
Any contact from anyone investigating the murder of Seth Rich since this all happened?
Never. You know, I actually called the, after I found out about this, I called the Baltimore, or not Baltimore,
DC Metro
the DC Police.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to offer to give them the email dump, but dude, they freaking hung up on me when I told them.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I talked to the detective. I talked to him for like 2 seconds. I said, "Hey, I have possible information about the Seth Rich case,"
and they hung up.
And the guy hung up on me.
See, that's strange as well. There's obviously
it is strange. They do not want information coming out about it.
They don't even want to investigate it. I did an interview with Rod Wheeler. Yeah.
If as a cop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if I thought somebody was a crackpot, I'd at least give them a few minutes to hear what they had to say, because you never know. Even crackpots can break a case.
Right.
So even if they thought I was some kind of crackpot, you know, just because I said I have possible information,
you'd think they'd want to hear it at least.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, you know, they didn't listen to anything other than that. I mean, they didn't listen to my background. They didn't listen to anything. They just hung up.
It's crazy. You know, it's almost 1 year to the day since this interview with Rod Wheeler was published. Rod Wheeler, of course, is a former DC Metro PD detective. I don't know if you're aware of this, John, but the woman who was the chief of police, her name escapes me right now, but she left weeks after Seth Rich, after the murder. Renee Lanier.
I don't know anything about any of these people, so.
The chief of police left within weeks of the murder, Kathy Lanier.
Yeah, that's strange.
That's strange.
Well, I mean, maybe she just, you know, it could be a coincidence. Maybe it's time to retire.
It could be a coincidence for sure. It could be a coincidence that they don't want evidence. It could be a coincidence that Rod Wheeler was told to stand down in the investigation. Any of these things could be coincidences, but it just seems like an awful lot of coincidences.
Did he say that he was told to stand down?
He was told not to investigate.
Oh, that is bizarre. Yeah. Yeah.
Anytime anything having to do with Seth Rich comes up, it is shrouded in bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, John, I appreciate your time. I definitely want to invite you back in the future, my friend, and I hope you will enjoy your wings there. I really apologize for the time confusion.
No,
that
no,
it
no, no.
caused.
It's great. It's great. So look,
Yeah.
there's a lot of information in my book, and it's going to come out in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So not only this, but a lot of other information, and people really should read it because it's very eye-opening.
Remind us of the URL for the website where people can buy the book.
It's a PBSOtalk.org. O-R-G.
And the title of the book, I think I just...
Bad Wolf.
Bad Wolf, exactly. So that's going to be out
Actually,
in just a couple...
read the first chapter on there. I got the first chapter already on there.
Oh, that's great. So let me just bring that up so everybody can see it. PBSO, like Palm Beach Sheriff's Office.org. And you can go on there. PBSOtalk.org, my bad.
Yeah.
PBSO.
Now, if you click on the book on the right.
And the book is called Bad Wolf. And if we click on that, you can see it come up here. Is this going to be an ebook that people can download, or how do they get it?
Here, scroll down a little. No, it's going to have a hard copy.
Nice.
So here, I don't know why that's not loading. Maybe it takes a minute for you to load.
Right.
They'll be able to read the first chapter.
Oh, you've got a PDF viewer here. So, yeah, I got a lot of windows open. That might be slowing it down. But people can go and pre-order the book at pbsotalk.org. My guest, of course, is John Mark Dougan, a Palm Beach Sheriff's Office whistleblower who was relentlessly pursued by the FBI, by the Palm Beach police, and he's an honest cop who has been driven out of the United States and is in voluntary exile in Moscow, Russia. Are you fearful at all, John, that you might be extradited?
No, they can't extradite me here because there's no extradition with Russia. However, they did arrest four guys that work for the government here because the CIA bribed them to provide information about me.
Whoa! So they're still pursuing you?
Well, they're looking. They're looking.
Wow. John, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the wings there at Hooters in Moscow. I would say spasiba, my friend, and paka, do svidanya.
Do svidanya.
Take care. We'll talk to you soon, John. I appreciate it tremendously.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Amazing conversation with John Mark Dougan. Mind is blown. K.E. Saxon, we will invite him back again once the book is out. People, of course, can get that book over there at his website, pbsotalk.org. I would encourage everyone to support John. He's literally had to run for his life, and like other people we've spoken to, he's been kept from his family. I want to thank everybody for watching and remind you that Crowdsource the Truth is a community-sponsored news resource. If you want to continue to see more reports from guests like John, please get onto patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth and become a sponsor, even $5 a month, $10 a month. It helps a lot. If you'd prefer to make a one-time sponsorship payment, you can do that at paypal.me/crowdsourcethetruth. I want to thank everybody for tuning in.